In the Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna teaches the mighty warrior Arjuna how to practice karma yoga very elaborately. Those teachings make the Gita unique among Vedantic scriptures. Most other texts, like the Upanishads and works of Shankara, emphasize spiritual wisdom and meditation, but they say little about karma yoga. Why? Probably because those texts were composed by ancient rishis and saintly monks who lived in remote forests and mountain caves. They didn't have to commute to work or pay their bills each month like you might have to. As a result, their teachings are more inclined towards those who have already retired from worldly life. On the other hand, Sri Krishna's teachings were imparted in the middle of a battlefield, a field of conflict that symbolically represents the challenging and sometimes confrontational situations that people struggle with every day. For this reason, the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita are especially inclined towards those who pursue spiritual growth while living conventional worldly lives. The title of this video suggests that the Gita harbors some kind of secret about karma yoga. What is it? Well, even after reading and rereading the Bhagavad Gita, many people fail to clearly understand exactly what they're supposed to do in the practice of karma yoga. Sri Krishna's teachings are surprisingly subtle and extremely profound. So, in a manner of speaking, the secret is hidden in plain view. When I studied the Bhagavad Gita under my guru's guidance, I complained to a fellow student, "These teachings on karma yoga make knowledge of Brahman seem simple by comparison." It took me a long time to fully appreciate the subtleties of karma yoga and practice it every day. Another difficulty in understanding karma yoga is the fact that some of Sri Krishna's teachings have been turned into overly simplistic cliches or trite sayings. For example, karma yoga is often described as selfless service. That's a really beautiful expression, but we have to ask, is the service done in the name of karma yoga truly selfless? Many people visit an ashram like ours and ask if they can do selfless service. Sometimes a visitor will grab a broom and enthusiastically sweep the kitchen floor. But at home, if his wife asks him to sweep the kitchen floor, he resists. Why? Because sweeping the ashram kitchen makes him feel good, but sweeping his own kitchen feels like a tedious chore. His service at the ashram is not exactly selfless, because he does it to feel good about himself, as a dedicated karma yogi. Another oversimplification of karma yoga is to describe it as dedicating your deeds to God. But exactly how do you dedicate your deeds like that? Some Hindu children have a beautiful habit of writing at the top of their homework papers, Sri Krishnarpanam Astu. May this be an offering unto Sri Krishna. But they write that to invoke Sri Krishna's blessings to get a better grade, which is for their own sakes, not for Krishna. Merely saying, "I dedicate this to God," doesn't magically transform your deed into karma yoga. For example, imagine a Hindu thief who says Sri Krishnarpanam Astu as he enters a bank to rob it. Obviously, what it really means to dedicate a deed to God has to be properly understood. We'll discuss this later, along with the real meaning of selfless service. One more common but overly simple description of karma yoga is to say that it is merely to fulfill all your duties. It's certainly true that you have to fulfill all your duties in the practice of karma yoga, but there's so much more to it. Suppose a woman meticulously fulfills all her duties, but she always feels angry and resentful about having so many chores to do each day, and as a result, she constantly complains. With such an attitude, her deeds are just karma, not karma yoga. Now that we've looked at some misconceptions about karma yoga, let's discuss how to practice it as taught in the Bhagavad Gita. Karma yoga is a sadhana, a spiritual practice that's meant to help you attain the ultimate goal of spiritual life, a goal known as moksha, liberation, enlightenment, or simply freedom from worldly suffering. Such a lofty goal can be reached only by those who are completely dedicated to it. And that kind of complete dedication is impossible as long as you are focused on gaining pleasure, comfort, intimacy, money, and so on. According to Sri Krishna, those pursuits will never culminate in a state of perfect peace and contentment. When you clearly recognize the impossibility of gaining perfect peace and contentment through worldly pursuits, your orientation towards life will undergo a radical shift, a shift in which you give up seeking that contentment through worldly pursuits and instead seek it through spiritual growth. As a result of this inner transformation, you will cease to be a bhubukshu, a seeker of pleasure, and instead you will become a mumukshu, a seeker of moksha, liberation. The practice of karma yoga depends on this inner transformation. As long as you hope that worldly activities will eventually lead you to perfect contentment, you will continue to be a karmi, not a karma yogi. Now, to be completely dedicated to gaining enlightenment has a startling implication. To reach a small goal, a little bit of effort is enough. And for a larger goal, like building a career or raising a family, much more effort is needed. So then, how much effort is required to attain enlightenment? Not just a big effort, but one that's off the chart, so to speak. In practical terms, enlightenment requires full-time effort. Anything less will not be sufficient. In my late 20s, my daily schedule began with 2 hours of sadhana. I read scriptures, I studied Sanskrit, and I meditated every day before going to work. I felt proud of being so dedicated to this daily practice. Years later, I recognized how foolish and vain I had been back then. I realized that by dedicating 2 hours a day to spiritual practice, I was, in effect, dedicating the remaining 14 hours of each day to non-spiritual activities, to worldly pursuits. It's obvious which of those two would have a greater effect. In retrospect, dividing my life into 2 hours of sadhana and 14 hours of worldly activities was completely contrary to the practice of karma yoga. As we saw, to attain enlightenment, full-time effort is required. So it's necessary to transform those 14 hours of worldly activities into spiritual practice. And that can be accomplished through the practice of karma yoga. So then, how does karma yoga actually transform your ordinary deeds into spiritual practice? Your daily activities like driving your car, cooking dinner, or using your computer? Well, first of all, the practice of karma yoga begins with the inner transformation we discussed before. When you recognize the impossibility of gaining perfect contentment through worldly pursuits, and you choose instead to dedicate yourself to a life of spiritual growth. In addition to that transformation, karma yoga requires you to avoid adharmic deeds of any kind. Obviously, such deeds can never be transformed into spiritual practice. Only after you dedicate yourself to spiritual growth and adopt a dharmic lifestyle can the actual practice of karma yoga begin. Simply put, karma yoga is not something you do, but rather it's a specific prayerful attitude that you cultivate and hold in your mind and heart while you carry out your daily activities. First and foremost, that attitude is based on knowing that you are merely an agent of action. That means you do not produce the fruits or results of your actions. For example, I can drop this flower, but I don't make it fall. It falls because of the laws of nature, laws created and governed by Ishvara, the God of the cosmos. This important spiritual principle applies to everything you do. You drive your car, but you arrive at your destination because of Ishvara. You work hard, but you achieve success because of Ishvara. You get married, but you are blessed with a wonderful family because of Ishvara. This prayerful attitude is based on understanding Ishvara as the giver of the fruits of your deeds, as the karma phala data. This profound principle is expressed in one of the most frequently quoted verses in the Bhagavad Gita. Karmani eva adhikaraste, ma phaleshu kadachana. Here, adhikara does not mean right or entitlement, as it often does in Hindi. In this context, the Sanskrit word means scope of authority or sphere of control. Adhikara is the domain in which you are in charge. So, to paraphrase the verse, you have control over your actions. But you have no control over their results, because those results are in Ishvara's hands, so to speak, not in your hands. When you become mindful of this fact, every time you perform a deed, whatever it might be, you can recognize Ishvara's direct involvement as the giver of results. To prayerfully appreciate Ishvara's presence in all your activities can help you develop deep feelings of reverence and gratitude. In this way, Karma Yoga can bring a prayerful dimension to everything you do. Ishvara not only gives you the fruits of your actions, but also Ishvara blesses you with the power, skills, and knowledge you need to accomplish those actions. Ishvara, as creator of the universe, endows every person not only with life, but also with physical strength, energy, and many amazing mental faculties. Based on this spiritual understanding, you can consider the powers of your body and mind to be gifts or blessings of Ishvara. In the Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna tells Arjuna, Nimitta matram bhava. O Arjuna, understand that you are merely an instrument. As Arjuna proceeds into battle, he should reflect on the fact that the strength of his body and his skills as a warrior are all blessings of Ishvara. In the same way, on the battlefield of daily life, you can recognize and appreciate the many gifts you've been given by Ishvara. Your intelligence, your skills and resourcefulness, and your ability to care and nurture. This kind of appreciation brings yet another prayerful dimension to everything you do. The practice of Karma Yoga is based primarily on these two principles: that Ishvara gives you the results of your actions, and that all your capabilities are blessings of Ishvara. But merely understanding these principles is not enough. They have to be assimilated, integrated into your daily life. At first, you will probably need to remind yourself again and again of Ishvara's presence in all your activities. Of course, daily study of the Bhagavad Gita can certainly help you remember that throughout the day. Over a period of time, you can gradually develop a constant appreciation of Ishvara, an appreciation that remains firm even while you're fully engaged in activities. That's what it means to pray without ceasing, as our Christian friends say. By developing this abiding, prayerful appreciation of Ishvara's presence in your life, you will truly be engaged in full-time spiritual practice. It's really not so hard to maintain that prayerful appreciation throughout the day. For example, right now, I know that everything I'm teaching is given by Ishvara. Ishvara in the form of my own Guru and all those who came before. Also, whatever communication skills and intelligence that I'm using right now are also blessings of Ishvara. Even though I've developed those skills over the years, you can't develop something that you don't already have in some measure, something given by Ishvara. As far as I'm concerned, the teaching taking place right now is 99% due to Ishvara, and only 1% due to my personal effort. Each time I reflect on this fact, I'm filled with tremendous gratitude for all the gifts I've been given. When your practice of karma yoga grows strong, a prayer of gratitude will accompany each and every deed you perform. When you get out of bed in the morning and brush your teeth, you'll be grateful that you have teeth to brush. When you pay your bills each month, you'll be grateful for having a job. And when you spend time with your family, you'll be grateful to Ishvara for their presence in your life. Such is the attitude of a karma yogi. Before we conclude, let's revisit the two common misconceptions about karma yoga we discussed before. First of all, what does it really mean to dedicate your deeds to Ishvara? If you are truly practicing karma yoga, then while driving to the office on Monday morning, you will not think for a moment that a successful career or big salary can possibly bring you perfect peace and contentment. Instead, you will go to work to fulfill your responsibilities and follow dharma, which will aid your process of spiritual growth. Following dharma is to act in conformance with Ishvara's laws that not only govern the universe, but also govern people's behavior, like the prohibition against himsa, causing harm to others. In a manner of speaking, by following dharma, you are obeying Ishvara. To set aside your own agenda and act in accordance with dharma is exactly what it means to dedicate your deeds to Ishvara. In other words, dedicating your deeds is following dharma instead of following your desires. Also, like a good driver follows traffic laws not to avoid getting a ticket, but for the safety of everyone on the road, in the same way, a karma yogi follows dharma not to avoid sin and other consequences, but for the sake of spiritual growth that brings you closer to Ishvara. And finally, what does it really mean to perform selfless service? Selfless means without self-interest, without a personal agenda. After you undergo the inner transformation of recognizing the futility of worldly pursuits, you will no longer be motivated by selfish desires. But even then, you will still be motivated to seek spiritual growth. That's what it means to be a mumukshu, a seeker of liberation or enlightenment. The desire for enlightenment will be the last desire you ever have, but as long as it's still present, you will not be completely agendaless. And the acts you perform will not be completely selfless. The only person who can truly act selflessly is an enlightened person, a jnani, one who has no needs or agenda whatsoever. Such a person is said to have gained krita krityata, a state in which there's absolutely nothing left to accomplish in life. But then, having gained that state, What is it that motivates the actions of an enlightened person? That's actually a very complicated topic, which we can't discuss right now, but here's one way to understand it. Many times my guru was asked why he teaches Vedanta day after day after day. Each time he was asked this, he simply said, "I teach because you ask me to." To me, that seems like an excellent example of what selfless service truly means.